How to network using emotional intelligence. I'm Roger Wakefield.
And I'm Julie Wakefield.
And we're going to teach you how to network. Now, learning to use emotional intelligence to make connections while you're networking can really help expand your evening. It can help you meet more people and make better connections throughout the night by learning to read their emotional intelligence. And Julie, you taught me about this a long time ago, and this is something you're really good at. How do you start? I mean, I know how I learned it. How do you teach people to just learn about emotional intelligence?
Well, it's really hard to teach, but you have to, first of all, make sure that people are aware that emotional connections is where it's at, because people want to do business with others that they know, like, and trust. So they have to be able to make that connection through that building of trust. So one of the things that I say is start with your personal appearance. Start with the way you connect with people. Make sure if you are at an event that you have a nice handshake.
And a nice handshake is huge. And that's something my father taught me a long time ago. So
Right.
that's always been a big deal to me. And it's funny because I know other people that when I hear them talk about different things and they mention a handshake, man, you can tell. And I remember one guy saying one time, when he shook my hand, I knew we were going to do business together. And
Exactly.
man, when you've got
Yeah.
that much confidence and that much, I don't want to say emotional intelligence, but that much attitude, look, I'm here, I'm happy to be here, and I love being here,
Right.
and it comes across in a handshake, man,
Right.
you've got the crowd.
That is the first form and the only appropriate, really, form of touch in any business situation.
Wait, I can't just go up and hug people?
Well, you're not supposed to. Some people don't want to be touched, but a handshake is always an appropriate way to make a connection with somebody. So make sure that your handshake is firm. Make sure that it's enthusiastic and that you connect emotionally. You never want to grab someone's fingers. Let me show you how that goes. You don't ever want to grab someone like this. You want to go in for the full.
Yeah, when you grab my fingers like that, I'm just like, ugh. Even
Right.
coming from a lady, it's like, okay, wait a minute.
Don't do that.
And there's
Right.
times that you reach out and you shake a hand with the guy, and they grab your hand, or you get there, and you're just like, okay, wait, let me shake your hand again.
Let me do it
Because it's
right.
like, yeah, this was not good.
Yes, do it right or don't do it at all.
So a handshake's great, but during coronavirus, we got to be careful with that. So
Right.
there's a lot of elbow bumps going on, or knuckle bumps, things like that. But even before that, and this happens with me a lot, I can look across the room and I'm looking for a real estate tag. I'm looking for information that maybe somebody I want to talk with. And sometimes just eye contact is enough, just to kind of look at somebody and, just nod, just
Yeah.
anything at all to let them know, I may want to talk to them. They may want to talk to me, something like that. What do you think about eye contact?
I think it's probably the most important thing that you can do when you're talking with somebody, because if you can't make eye contact with somebody, then are they going to trust you? That's the thing. The eyes are the window to the soul, right? And this is where expressions come from, and this is actually where connections are made. So even if you're networking virtually, like right now, make sure you're looking at your camera. Don't look at your screen, because people see you talking to the screen. Look at the camera, because people will think that you're looking at them. It's huge in making a connection.
And it's funny, it doesn't bug a lot of people. Julie says, yeah, like when they do that, I don't mind, because I have literally sat and watched entire presentations with somebody looking like this. They're talking to this camera up here, but the entire time they're sitting here looking at themselves talk to see how they look. And they're really not connecting, especially with me, because it bugs me. And I'm like, okay, it's like me trying to talk to you and looking over your shoulder the whole time I'm talking to you.
Right.
Eventually, sooner or later, you're like, okay, what's he
behind
looking
me?
at?
Right.
And so eye connection is really huge for me, especially in virtual. Now, if you're at a live event and somebody looks away for a second, you understand they're looking at something got their attention. Hopefully, they return their gaze back to you.
Right.
And that they're in that conversation. But virtually, to me, like you said, I think the most important thing is knowing where your lens is and looking right at it, because then that person on the other side feels like you're talking to them.
Right, just like you are in person. And I know someday we're going to be networking in person again.
Now, when we're in person again, we're both going to be doing a lot of this is smiling.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, and there's some people that you can see across the room and you see them smiling. It's like, I got to talk to them.
Right.
And it's just, that is such an icebreaker to see just somebody just look at you and smile.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I want to talk to them.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk to somebody who's negative, right? So you want to talk to somebody who's happy. And so smiling gets your energy up. And so that will make you approachable. And really, people want to be around people that are happy. So, another thing that builds trust when you're with somebody is to be interested in that person. You want to not be all about you. You want it to be about them.
And that's funny because me being a plumber, I mean, there's nothing here for people to be interested in. At least that's what I thought before I started networking. Yeah. Then once I started networking, I realized, look, people are very interested about it because I do something that they don't know a lot about. Mm-hmm. They've had problems and they don't know if they got ripped off or not.
Right.
So being interested in the person you're talking to, and me, it's easy for me because I am always thinking, okay, who can I introduce this person to? Because I want to help other people.
Right.
And to me, that is my thing is I'm like, okay, who can I introduce this person to that they can help or that can help them and hopefully create a synergistic relationship with two people.
Right. And you find out who they need or who they need to be connected with by asking great questions, asking about them. How did you get started in doing what you're doing? Find something or ask them about their story. Find out, did they always want to do what they did, or how did it just fall in their lap? Get to their story, and then you can start making those connections and find out who can I introduce you to that might help you.
And that's neat because normally in that story, if you're listening close like you should be, you can find a common interest. Yeah. What interest do we have in common to where you can literally, I mean, if you've got a common interest with somebody, you can build on that and grow that into a lot of different things. But finding that common interest helps let you know who you may be able to connect them with and help them with. But also, when you start telling your story, if they're looking at it that way too, they may be able to help introduce you to the people you want to be connected to.
Absolutely, because you might not do business together right now, but you can certainly do business through each other.
And one big thing to remember, even though you're interested, even though you're looking for common interest, remember their name.
Oh gosh, names are so important.
It's funny because I met a professional basketball player one time, and most people would think that this basketball player is one of the most horrible people on the planet. To be honest, he was one of the nicest people I ever met. When I talked to him outside the locker room, he looked at me and he was looking at my face like we're dating and intimate, and he's looking at my face, staring at me, and he's repeating my name. And it's not in a sensual way, but it's like Roger, 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 Roger. And I mean, he's looking at all the aspects of my face, and he repeated my name probably about 30 times, and he looked at me and he said, Roger, I will never forget you.
That is interesting.
It's a neat story. Now, I'm not saying you need to do anything like that.
Not something I would recommend, but it definitely
not at a business meeting.
Right.
But when I'm just a low-level security guard and he's an NBA player,
yeah,
it's really neat.
And it made you feel important too, because he was interested in knowing your name, and you were like, wow, this guy's a superstar, and he is wanting to know who I am. That made you feel important, right?
And the neat story is when he came back to town months later, he did remember my name.
That is so cool. Yeah, remember people's names. And you can do that by repeating their name. Maybe not so obvious that like the basketball player did, but certainly repeat their name and say it in conversation so that you don't forget.
Now, the biggest thing to remember, and this is my worst, this is the thing I'm not good at.
Struggle with this.
I do. Is remembering my own name. No, not really. The thing that I forget, the thing, and it's not that I forget, it's just I look at it a different way, I guess. But following up with people, and I'm not good about it because when I get into the office the next day, plumbing happens.
Right.
I've got things to do. I've got a company to run. I'm going 90 miles an hour, and I understand that man, following up is really where it's all at.
Yeah, it's where the fortunes are, right? You've got to follow up. You can't add people to your network. You can't connect people to each other if you don't follow up. Doing what you say you will do is so important. So calendar it. Make sure that after an event, you have time in your calendar to follow up within 24 to 48 hours.
And the neat thing, and I love the way you say do that, calendar it. Put it in your schedule. So you know if I'm going to a networking event on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, I need to block out, to be honest, you should block out about 30 minutes. You should really only make 5 or 6 really good connections. The other ones that I mean, look, I can talk to somebody for 4 or 5 minutes and I know, look, well, I'm never going to be able to help them. And I'm not going to try to just do the worst thing on earth and just throw them in my drip campaign.
Right. No, don't do
Because
that.
to me, that's not following up. That's just, hey, I was out collecting business cards for a sales call.
Right.
That's not the right way to do
Right.
it.
And when that happens to me, I automatically unsubscribe from those emails.
And another great thing to do when you're following up, remember something about the conversation.
Right.
Why is that important?
Well, because that's how you make that connection. People will not always remember exactly what you say or exactly what you do, but they will remember how you make them feel. So when you can come back in an email within 24 or 48 hours and say, hey, I remember you said your anniversary is coming up this weekend. I hope you have a great weekend. Or you remember that your child graduated, or you can remember something about that conversation, it really lets people know that you care.
And it lets them know that you were listening, that you were really paying attention when they were talking. And that really goes a long way.
Right. Make somebody feel special.
So I hope you understand now that using emotional intelligence to build your connections while you're networking, that literally can be a game changer. A lot of people, so many people just walk in to get business cards, just walk in to get names and phone numbers and emails so they can throw people in their drip campaign or cold call them. To be honest, if you'll learn to use emotional intelligence and build meaningful connections, man, this can actually help you grow your network.
It sure will. And your network is your net worth.
I hope you learned something here. And if you did, please subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on anything. So I'm Roger Wakefield.
And I'm Julie Wakefield.
And we're teaching you how to grow your business through networking. We're teaching you how to network.